So that you need a relationship first, and if they don't have a relationship, they go into cyberspace, AI sex, for instance, like and then buy a sex toy, even, right?
Yeah.
Without having a real relationship. Now you are talking about finding a partner, a husband, a wife, and then have that relationship to blossom into something deeper, which is 2 steps forward. It takes 2 to tango.
Right. So the AI, the sexual toys, I mean, it takes care of your physiological needs.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not going to take care of your emotional needs, your connection needs, your healing. You know, sex can be an avenue for healing.
Yes.
And growth.
Yeah. So I discourage people, honestly, I think it's a very bad idea to have like AI sex replacing human relationship, right? It cannot be something 3D, you know, these days they talk about VR and then AI and all that.
Yeah.
Wow, it sounds like in a futuristic movie. You don't need human touch anymore, right? Scary.
It is scary. I mean, I feel that with our technology advancing, you know, with AI and how it's expanding in what it can do, and you know, even into feelings. The more we have that technological part in our lives, the more we really need to go inward to find our own humanness and what it is about our human, you know, being a human. And it's really our emotions, our body sensations, and connection with others.
I find it very interesting you mentioned this, and also important subject, because when people get busy, let's say a private banking client, 10 years from now, a very wealthy client might say, I have 10 AI partners, I don't need a real person, then that's bad. We are talking about having not just sexuality, but having meaningful relationship to start with. And it's kind of lacking in this city. Or Tokyo, I don't know.
It's not just the city. I think globally.
Globally.
Yeah, because we don't live in sex positive cultures. You know, it's sex negative.
How can we bring more positivity to this topic?
Well, you know, it's an inward journey.
Yeah.
It's an inward, well, couples can do it together with the intention to do it together. But a lot of times we still need to work on ourselves, because how do I know what truly gives me pleasure, you know, with my partner, if I don't know myself?
Yeah.
And that's very common for women not to even know like what it is that they want from sex, because she has not, you know, worked on herself and experienced it on her own. So I think it's really important for that, as well as the connection with a partner. You know, together you can explore. I mean, you know, sex is also not just about intercourse. Sex is really the whole experience, from even eye gazing, how you communicate your desires, your deepest fears, and what you love. You know, there's so much richness to the sexual experience or to the relationship experience. And even if you're single, you have a relationship with yourself that you can nurture.
Yeah. How about in some extreme situation where you cannot really have, say, normal sex with a partner? In a prison situation, for instance, you run into issues of homosexuality, right?
Yeah,
usually
people still
it's the same sex put in the cell.
Yeah, people still have their sexual needs.
Yeah. Then how do they take care of the needs?
I'm not an expert in prison dynamics,
sexual, yeah.
but I mean, I find it, you know, like humans adapt. right? We have that mechanism to find ways to have our needs met. And so it might not be the healthiest way, but we still manage. So a lot of relationships, you could even say, have communicate, like when a couple experience conflict, it could be that each are trying to have their needs met, but they're not going around it in a way that is relationship oriented. That's where you have conflict and you have unresolved, where you go and get your needs met, but then you're steamrolling over your partner. So it's so important to be able to work on that together. And the way you do that is to be really super vulnerable.
Yes.
Because until you really have that courage to show that deepest part of you, you're only going to be on this very superficial level of connection.
Sexual needs is a basic human desire. What about celibacy? People just have total abstinence. You almost need to be a saint to do it.
Well, I think if one consciously chooses celibacy, while choosing celibacy, you do not reject that you have a sexual part. You don't repress it. Such as maybe in certain religions where, such as priests,
monks, even,
where they have to have vows of celibacy. If it's forced on you, then you end up repressing. But if you somehow can learn, yes, I have this, I love and accept myself for these parts of me, yet I choose to be celibate, then that is fine. Anything conscious, a conscious decision is fine, as long as you don't repress. But most of us go around unconsciously, and we don't think about sex, or we think about sex and then we feel guilty or bad for it, and then say, oh, but that's wrong, we should not, and so we're just repressing.
I mean, when people talk about, I don't need sex, I need an AI to take care of my sexual needs, that's weird, perverted. I shouldn't use perverted, but it's an alternative choice. It's not natural, right?
Well, I mean, it's an alternative choice, definitely. Yes. But are they truly happy? Are they truly feeling alive? Are they truly feeling like they are living the life they want? Are they having their desires?
I find it sad, unless that person is the owner of a publicly listed company who produces sex toys, and then watching the stock price go up and up and up. Otherwise, I don't see why people don't need human touch or human relationship.
And even the owner, I mean, that's just his business.
Yeah.
What about his own personal life?
Yeah. That's why I say a loveless society, which is, I hope all societies have love. Love come in many different areas. Sexuality, it's one big part that people don't talk about. And let's go to really sexuality. Women have, I guess, more sensitive nerves, you mentioned?
Well, I mentioned that women have double the amount of nerve endings in the sex center than male anatomy. So
really?
A female anatomy
Yeah.
has double the number of nerve endings than the male anatomy.
So what about menopause? When women reach menopause, is there a need for sex?
She still has those nerve endings.
Really? Of course, I know the answer already. I'm just asking. Yeah. But people suppress it. They don't talk about it anymore after they reach menopause.
Well, menopause brings about some other changes. There's a lot of hormonal changes.
Yeah.
And women frequently at that time of their life, feel very exhausted and depleted, especially if they've been going, all out in terms of, let's say, with so many responsibilities a modern woman have these days. Not only are you a mother, or you have your career, you have maybe taking care of your parents. There's so many different aspects, socializing and traveling. We can get depleted because the feminine energy is in the kidneys and ovaries. They're very much connected, and the adrenal glands sit right on top of the kidneys. So adrenal fatigue can be very common with women if we're just always going and not having the time to go into ourselves and resting and rejuvenating. And in this kind of go city, women are very exhausted and depleted, and they even if they're not even menopausal, they don't want sex as well because we're just so tired.